Hey guys and gals, something that we're going to be talking about today is the dreaded hip shift. Okay, now some people say this can't completely be alleviated, some people say it can. I say it can to a certain extent, it just depends on how hard you kind of work on it. But usually it comes from one of two things that I have seen. One, there's a mobility or a functionality issue on one side of the body, or two, there's an abdominal issue and an imbalance across the rib cage on one side of the body, which is causing some rotation, it's causing some instability, and it's causing some strength differentials between your left and right leg or your one side of your body, whatever you might be doing. There's very similar compensations in overhead pressing and stuff along those lines. Usually an abdominal imbalance or a shoulder mobility issue causing one arm or one side to shift or one to sway to one side or the other. Your body's swaying to where it's strongest and where it can actually get the work done. Okay? So we're going to be showing a couple things here that potentially could help you fix and maybe even mediate some of this hip shift and some of your bigger movements. Upper body stuff we'll address a little further down the line.
Is our knee blocked iso bridge kick. So you're going to be setting up here. One leg is going to be in your bridge position. Now you're not extending off the ground. You're just using this glute and hamstring and hip here for stabilization. So isometrically lock that hip in place. Then we're going to load that top leg into our roller. I want you to lock that elbow and knee together and drive that knee up as far as you can bring it. And once we lock that in place, we're going to start to kick up into the ceiling here, trying to maintain that block between that knee and that elbow. Now you're going to notice here, the further that you want to go, the tighter you're going to have to squeeze this one side of your torso here and keep your hip and keep your abdominals nice and locked in, keep your glutes locked in, or everything's not going to elongate for you the proper way. Now this is going to be addressing some of the mobility issues that could potentially be causing the hip shift that we're seeing in a lot of our different patterns. The second one that we're going to come into here, split stance glute drive single leg march. Okay, now I'm starting up in my split stance position here, and I'm locking that toe into the ground on the backside. I'm locking my hip in place, locking my abdominals, and I'm on a pretty narrow stance here. I have this other knee right in front of my hip here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a small plate. You can take a yoga block, just something for your front balance load. And you're going to hold that right out in front, pull your shoulders down, a little bit of protraction at the shoulder. Reach into the rib cage here, stack the ribs nice and hard, and then we're going to use that hip and that oblique to drive this knee off the ground here and catch with that back-sided glute. So you're going to notice you want to try to hover this a little bit. As you get a little bit more locked in, you want to give a little bit of a hesitation at the top and hold this flex here at the top and flex the abdominals and get used to stabilizing through this inner thigh and through this glute complex on the backside here. You can literally catch yourself with your back leg. Now, I was going to be addressing some of the potential oblique and abdominal issues that were causing our hip shift. Number 3 here. We're going to come into our knee-blocked same-sided dead bug with supinated palm. So we're using this underhand grip palm here and reaching, and what this is doing is it's taxing the lat a little bit more and helping to learn to elongate through that lat, which can be also causing some issues at the rib cage. Now we're trying to equally open with the one side while we're keeping the other side nice and locked in place. Now you can let your head sit back, keep that neutral head, neutral spine all the way down. Keep trying to pull the hips onto the rib cage here. Remember to keep breathing as well. Now really try to keep that rotated, and you can see here I have some issues with that rotation at the shoulder, getting that lat to elongate at the same time that the abdominals are functioning. So we kind of start closing up some immobility patterns and some bad patterns here right at the start as well. Okay. Next one we're going to be coming into here is our anti-shift step back lunge and reach. So you're going to be using your yoga block here or even a small plate, just a small counterbalance out in the front, shoulder down, and we're going to reach into that rib cage, flex that torso nice and tight, and the goal is here to avoid the roller. So you're going to be using quite a bit of internal rotation here, trying to position yourself at that right position so that you don't need to touch the roller. Now you're going to see you need to split the roller about halfway down the middle, and then we're going to try to internally rotate both knees and slowly reach back and reach to the side of the roller here. Now the goal is to try and keep everything nice and level, keep everything right in that good plane, so that you don't need to shift back. A lot of people let their butt kick out when they step back on a lunge here, or they'll shift to one side. You see, that's what happened right there. My hip shifted out back the way that I wanted it to go, and I wasn't using my torso and I wasn't using my glute and adductor and foot the proper way. So this one here, we're going to just play avoid the roller. We're going to step back nice and slow. The slower you can move with this one, the better you can control this one. You're more likely getting a lot more control out of that one side of the torso and that one side of your hip complex. You're also going to be noticing you're going to be getting a lot of foot function out of this type of movement here, because there's a lot of stability that's needed through that foot to internally rotate and reach back into this position here. Let's see one more here. Okay, good. And that's going to be the end of our video here. Now guys, like, share. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. Share the page a little bit of love. Thanks guys.